What is happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel and another new video. Oh, I'll tell you what, let's have a look at John's car whilst we're over here. So this is a Mark III Escort. It's going into rallycross. However, John's bought a Gar Track wide arch kit, and it's highlighted the fact that the wheels on the front are actually 3 inches further forward on a Gar Track. So that has led to a decent bit of work that needs to now go into this, moving everything forward 3 inches. So that's all fun and games. My panel that I made him didn't last very long in here, so yeah, we have been playing with him a little bit with that. So far we've hung it up there, and we got a nice little treat for him later on in this video, so we'll get to that later on. And yeah, in the back, all the Watts linkage, 4-link, all that's done. He's just working on basically packaging everything at the moment, so rear mount rads, dry sump tank, fuel cells all going here and whatnot. So yeah, it's all going on there, but we're not here for that. We are officially a week behind schedule. Everything's been a bit chaotic in here. We had to move all the cars out of the way so we could get the Starlet out that was down there. And as you would have been able to see from the thumbnail, we are not getting on with the RS2000. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm kind of avoiding that a little bit because yeah, it's very nerve-wracking knowing that I've got to make the tube chassis for that. So yeah, we'll avoid that a little bit longer, and we'll jump back onto this thing because there's a few little niggly bits I want to tackle. And whilst I'm in the mindset of tackling things I've been avoiding, seeing as we've done that and that I've been avoiding that for a long time, whilst we're in the mindset, we are going to tackle these little bits down here. These come with their own little predicament though, so we'll get into that predicament when we actually start on this. But we need to fill in this somehow, some way, and same again on that side. And then if you've ever owned a Mark V Escort, you'll know all too well about this little issue that I've got on here. Let's turn the light on. So we need to fix some rust around the fuel filler neck area. As you can see, it's a bit scabby, it's got some holes in it, it's no good. But not only on the front, it's actually, hopefully you can see, it's all rotten on the inside here as well. So what we need to do is cut out a decent section around here, get access to the back part of that, fix that, and then we've got a nice new Magnum panel. I say nice, it's not very nice in the slightest really, if I'm honest, because the fitment on it is crap. It does not fit the car very well at all. So we need to work on making this fit the car, as well as obviously making it look nice. So yeah, we'll play with the cards we've dealt on that one, won't we? Make it happen one way or another. And then last but not least, we also need to fix this area here, because, well, you can quite clearly see there's nothing there. So we need to cut this out, make a new bit for that, and also fix what needs to go on the back of here as well. So all in all, should be quite a productive video, and we should be pretty much ticking off everything that I've got on my list that I've been avoiding. So yeah, well, I think without further ado, I need to shut up because nothing's actually going to happen if I carry on talking. We'll get some gear out and we'll start cutting on that first and foremost, and see what we can do to transform that into a nice looking part of the car. It's not too bad, folks, I won't lie, I was expecting it to be a little bit worse. But this is a prime example of why just body fillering around any rust that you've got on a Mark V Escort fuel surround there is no good, because you're not sealing off this part itself. So every time you're driving around in the rain or whatever, all the water's coming up here, it's getting in through this panel, between that panel, causing all of this rot. Then it all comes down here, causes all of this rot, and it also goes into this little sort of bowl bit on the back, and then causes that to rot out as well. So all in all, if you're body fillering this, you're just setting yourself up for a bad time later on. So you might as well cut it out, fix this, fix that, seal it all off properly again, and then you're good to go. So what we need to do now is template this. As you can see, it's all sort of rounded off. There's no flat edge at all, really. So yeah, we need to round all of this off and do something about this little bit down here, which, yeah, that goes down to about there. So yeah, we'll template all that, see if we can cut it out in steel. What I'll do is I'll make all of this piece in one solid piece, and then we'll drill the hole after the fact once we've put that panel back in to see where the hole needs to go. So let's go get our Picasso on. Alright, we're back with a fully charged battery finally. So we more or less got this panel to the shape we wanted. However, to try and get all of this the shape I wanted, I've just started tacking it in and then cutting bits as and when I need to. So that is the easiest way I've found to do this, rather than struggling forever to try and make that the absolute right shape. Tack a bit, hammer it in, tack a bit, hammer it in, and so on. And then I've cut a little relief slot there as well, because that bit needed a little bit of shrinking there. So I'm going to carry on, weld this in, and then we'll move on to cutting the hole into it. And then I'll have to patch back in all this extra I've had to cut out to get access to the rust. And then all in all, we're pretty much getting there. So let's pop it back on a tripod, we'll finish welding that in, and then we'll move forward on to the next bit.
What a waste of love.
Right, we're getting somewhere, folks. That is all done now. Nice fresh bit of metal in there. Obviously I've marked out my fuel cap hole because that needs to go there. So that works out at 70 mil from side to side, so 35 mil center. And then what you're going to need to do is hole saw that with a 102 mil hole saw. So that'll go straight through there. And then not only that, but as you can see here, that lip steps up there, and this hole saw is absolutely on the money for fitting over that, so couldn't ask for a better fit on that. So needless to say, we need to hole saw that, and then we can move on to making this panel fit in there. But not only that, where I've had to cut out down here to give myself some extra access for in there to weld all that up, we're gonna have to make a new bit to go in there as well, because unfortunately, as you can see, that bit is a bit pitted and nasty, so rather than using that, I might as well make up a new bit. But all in all, not too shabby. So it is 9 o'clock on a Sunday night already, so how much more I'm going to get done tonight, I don't know. We shall hole saw this and see where we're at after that. So, get the drill out, cut a hole in my car. Well, that all went rather well then, didn't it? So it turns out this bloody thing was actually blunt, and all it done was score the metal and make a load of smoke. So ended up having to go through with a smaller one, and then thanks to this little beauty with the cardboard tip on the end, we had to then ream it all out and make it that way, because there's absolutely no way on a Sunday night, gone 9 o'clock, I was ever going to find another hole saw. So yeah, hands down the best tool I've ever bought, folks. If you're looking to buy anything for your toolkit, make sure it's one of these. I'll leave a link in the description for that and one of these file sanders as well, because they're hands down the best 2 tools I've ever bought. So yeah, like I say, it is now 10 past 10 on a Sunday night. That has taken nigh on an hour to do that. So I think I'm going to sign off for now, and then I'll pick you guys back up tomorrow when I'm ready to start putting in that new panel, and then we'll make up that little section to go down the bottom there, and then we're on to this bit down here. So that's me signing off. I'll pick you up tomorrow. We're getting somewhere, folks. We are getting there. So obviously I only tacked this panel in, and that is because once I got this panel in, I wanted to be able to fully weld that together and then be able to remove this piece. So that is going to be next on the agenda. I have to be honest though, this is the second iteration of this little piece, because like a plonker, went full tilt and cut it too bloody short, didn't I? What a wally. So yeah, it's not all gravy. Sometimes things do go a little bit wrong. But what we need to do now is cut out all these tacks, remove this panel, clean up the welds front and back, give it a spot of primer, and then we can chuck it all back in. Obviously I've given myself some little reference points so I know it's going to go back in exactly where I want it to. And then we can weld the sucker back in and move on to that bit. So let's cut this thing out, shall we? Don't worry, I wasn't going to put you through the ordeal of watching me grind all them welds down. So, needless to say, we have a fuel filler surround, folks, and it's looking rather good. It's just this little bit here, but a little skim of filler over that when it comes to paint and would be absolutely golden. So, the inner panel and this outer panel don't actually meet and join together. What you have to do is actually fill that with either a panel bond or seam sealer. So once we're ready for paint with this thing, and I'm doing seam sealer all around everything else, we'll jump back in there, seal all that up, and then that is good to rock and roll. So that brings us to the next bit, which is going to be this area here. So basically I need to replace all of that up around here to replace that little hole as well. But what we've got is a little slight arc in this panel here. This is where the bumper actually meets the wheel arch, so we need to try and replicate that. Now I'm not going to cut all this out. What I'm going to do is try and make the new panel to go in there, and then once we've sized it all up, got everything spot on, we will then cut all that out, replace it, and then we can move on to the back edge of it and do all that as well. So I think what we need to do now is get some templating stuff out, template that, and make a start on making a new panel. Well then boys, we have gone and messed up. So although this was starting to take shape and it was actually starting to fit very well, I thought whilst I was sitting down having a cup of coffee, it never even occurred to me that although I've got no reference as such on this side because it's gone, I've got a perfectly good reference on the other side because it's all still intact. So yeah, it didn't even occur to me at the time. So when I come over with my new piece, I've realised, as you can quite clearly see there, it looks nothing like this side, which is blimmin' annoying. So I've now got a new template which actually matches that side that we now need to work to, and annoyingly this bit needs to go in the scrap. So like I say, it was actually starting to take shape pretty bloody well and I could have got away with it, but I know full well that if I don't change that for a new piece that looks the same as the other piece, it's going to bug me. It's going to rest in my mind and bug the crap out of me. So lesson learned. Take your time on metalwork. That'll teach me for rushing around, won't it? So, right, I'm going to go home and sulk. We'll get that template on the bench tomorrow. Cut out a new bit and start shaping that. So, don't. See you tomorrow. Should we have another go at this then, folks? That is my new piece all cut out and ready to rock and roll. So this is all based off measurements on the other side, which is solid. So hopefully we can actually make this bit right now. Let's see what happens, shall we? Right. Let's make that fit. Right, so I've gone and made this little bit here that suits the profile of that. So I've got something to actually work off now. So hopefully we should get this new panel done and fitted right. However, where it returns round here, I might actually cut that bit off and weld that on separately, because there is a bit of a curve in that. Whereas this part here is more or less straight, and this part here is more or less straight. So in order to get that fitting right, it might have to be a two-part ordeal, but we shall see. Right, let's attack this, shall we? And we are there, folks, with a new bit of panel work. Annoyingly, my battery died halfway through trying to form this, and it's just taken the last half an hour to get some charging. So yeah, I'm afraid you missed out on the last part of that. However, you didn't miss out on much, because it was mainly just me struggling to try and tip this last edge over, which was actually a bit of a challenge by all accounts. But I figured once it's actually in the car and supported, I can then get something in there, tip that edge over, the last little bit that I needed to go over, and then we're good. So I think all we need to do now is mark this up, cut out the rot on the car, and replace it with this new bit, and then we can move on to the inside. Well, folks, I'm afraid your boy's gone and messed up big time. He's gone and, yeah, basically deleted 50 or 60 frame or files worth of footage, like an absolute wally. So everything you've just seen me doing in the last clip around that area is everything I've got. Unfortunately, everything else in the bin. It's done. I've tried saving the files. I've managed to get some files back, but I physically cannot play them, and I haven't got the tech savvy to figure out how to play them. So I'm afraid all I can do now is just bring it up to speed, really. So obviously all of this is done, all of that's done. The car is in a lovely shade of green now because I've got fed up with all the black and silver, and it's starting to flash rust in places as well. So I thought a bit of paint, make it look half what's sensible, and stop all that flash rusting. And what you haven't seen and what I deleted was footage of me basically sorting out all these little infill fillet bits down here. So that side is done, and that side is done there. So I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you haven't really missed out on much. So I'm just going to own it. I messed up. What can I do? Life goes on, unfortunately. But I'm afraid, with that being said, this is the end of the episode, really. In the next episode, as you can see, the RS is back on the table and ready to rock and roll. So we are going to be hitting the tube chassis. How well this is going to go, I mean, is anyone's guess. But hopefully, with my plumbing background, I might stand half a chance with this tube work stuff. So stay tuned and we'll find out how that goes, if I don't manage to delete the footage. So with that, like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Peace.